So, hello, I am joined by ChronoKnight and VC here.
Hey, how you guys doing? ChronoKnight here.
We did record like 10 minutes of this before, but I accidentally had my desktop audio muted, so now we have this. Yeah, I
Right, take
guess.
two, take two.
My good news, my computer has gone up in battery, slowly but surely. But yeah, so I think here we're just gonna kind of talk about CG, maybe some of our issues with it, what Fish might be doing with his big update, and also like what we would maybe want in that big update.
Yeah, for sure. Did you want to start with that or something particular?
I think do you want to just go back to what we were saying before about like what were we talking about at first? I kind of forgot.
Yeah, well, we kind of talked about the state of the current format, and then that kind of led to like the game being kind of slow,
Okay.
and that was like the main focal point.
Okay. Do you want to just start with like the ban list? Which yeah, I remember now. We started with the ban
Yeah,
lists.
yeah, sure,
Let
sure,
me
sure.
pull up
Um,
the ban
yeah,
list actually, so people can look at it. Uh,
okay,
Here, I'll just leave it here. It looks ugly, but you'll have to deal with that.
yeah, not good.
I'm sorry,
Are you
Quasar,
putting
but
it in Discord?
sorry.
Are you putting it in
Yeah,
Discord or where are you
it's
putting it?
just pointed at Discord. Before it was pointed at the voice call. Now I've just brought up Quasar's ban list announcement.
Okay. And are you sharing your screen? If so, I just don't see it.
Oh no, I'm not sharing it. I just have OBS pointed at it.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so you pulled it up for yourself. Okay, so yeah, I can pull it up too. 1 second. Okay, yes, I have the ban list right here.
I'm not
Okay,
gonna cycle in between them because I'm doing other stuff, so it's just pointed up on like the big list, which is kind of unreadable. So it's fine, I
yeah,
guess.
I think it was helpful to look if you just tap the picture instead. Like
Here,
the
I'll
red
just
hammer is
here,
like
let's
the
just
band's
start with
stuff.
what got banned. So I'll just point it towards banned. Tell me when you wanna move it.
Okay, yep, I'm looking at the ban list too. I have it pulled up on my phone.
So as you can see, the ban list is a lot of cards got hit.
Yeah, it looks like seven new cards got added.
I already made
It
a
was
video on this,
previously, yeah.
so like I've already said most of my thoughts on it, but basically it's like most of these are good hits, but I am a bit on offerings and dog, and I think the rest of them are
Yeah,
good hits.
yeah. In my opinion, I thought the hit was. I would say it's nice, not because dog was just like a bad card or just overbearing or whatever, but it was just like too splashable, and taking it out would make the format like drastically change. And I think that's what we wanted. And so sometimes you have to hit cards like that just to kind of see how everything shakes out. So I was actually happy to see Dog go off and try to see how people try to compensate for gaining zones and playing
Huh.
more aggressively and things like that.
I
Yeah,
think yeah, that reasoning does make sense. I guess, yeah. The
yeah,
big
yeah,
hit though is, of course, sorry, the three big hits, UDR, Moltown, and Soulshroom. The other hits are like,
yes, yes.
cause Moltown, no one likes Moltown. No one, I don't think a single person likes this card.
Yeah, and as someone who played Blue Flames heavy when they were first released and really tried to push the strategies within the deck, like I provided a lot of like insight on certain things. I think Motown is just kind of broken. I think it's bearable at one copy, depending on how other decks are performing. But at two copies, it's just completely obnoxious.
Wait, sorry, I gotta just like, I'm going to swap to, um, I'm just gonna turn off OBS for a second because I need to actually do something in Discord. So it's not pointed at anything
Yeah.
right now. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah, I'm just looking at the ban list.
Okay. Now let me go back to the ban list here. Okay, sorry about that. We are back. We are back. Now I can actually focus on this because I'm no longer playing a game of Magic. So, woohoo! I guess.
Yes.
So, do you have any more thoughts on the ban list or the cards that got banned?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Let me go back to it real quick. I thought Soulstrom was a huge hit and UDR was huge. As someone who's lost a lot to OTK when I first joined, um, I'm happy to see it gone.
I feel bad for you.
um, yeah, I've played some games. I was like drastically winning, and then they draw the best cards at the right time, and then it's just over. And
Oof.
I've never really been a fan of like OTK decks. Like they kind of can be healthy sometimes, but this one just felt like, yeah, you're
My
on a timer from
stance
the start.
on like OTK and combo and CG is I am a combo player at heart. I love combo decks. This is literally why I tried Yu-Gi-Oh a few months ago. I heard they do all these super crazy combos turn one. I tried it, I learned it, which was extremely hard, and I now love it. And you like CG is not the game for combos. You can't
Yeah,
have a grindy game and then have OTK combos. They just don't work together.
I agree. I definitely agree. Um, Soulstrom being banned destroyed so many archetypes,
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
kind of indifferent about it. I personally was expecting Shroom to be limited. I thought it would
Same
just
with
be at
me.
one
I
copy.
thought it was gonna be limited. I'm all for a ban. I think it is a very, very, very good card. And I think
Yeah,
again, we really wanted a shakeup, so here's a shakeup. And I think it's the same thing with Dog where you know, just you want
I
to
think it
change
was
things
good.
up and
Yeah,
people don't generally don't like rainbow decks as much as more like mono planet or like archetype planet or just trying to approach a specific goal decks. So hitting that is just people are fine with it in my opinion.
yeah. It's been okay with it being gone. I thought it would be interesting at one copy because it would have kept a couple good decks alive, but the decks that just want to like spam, like they would have gotten destroyed. So it actually would have put it in a nice sweet spot, in my opinion.
Fair, fair, fair.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I did not like the Light Beam Rider hit.
Me neither. I
Um,
think if
yeah,
you want to hurt Shape Knights, you do not ban LVR. You you can
yeah,
limit it. I think limiting it is fine, but I think banning it is just no. If you want to ban something from Shape Knights, you should ban Trongulon.
right. Yeah, something like that would have been huge. Welcome in, Fish. We're actually recording right now. Just kind of
Fish is
discussing
here.
a lot of stuff within CJ. If you wanted to hop in,
Yeah, we're just
or if
right now talking some of our stuff with CG. This is the video I mentioned that I was going to record. Okay, it looks like something's been posted here. Okay, Fish said they're just listening for now, so um yeah. Oh,
they're
okay.
just what?
Listening for now, if you check no mic.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, no problem. Um, yeah. So I think the band stuff was really interesting. It was really good shakeups. I kind of expected maybe one or two more hits, but if I had to give it a grade, I would give it like an 8 out of 10 as far as the band list. Um,
Agree with
because
that.
it put everybody back to the drawing board, which is what I wanted.
We wanted a shake up and we got a shake up. This is what we asked for. So do you want to move on to the limits now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Go.
Okay,
Okay,
so
here
we
we
got
go.
what? One, two, three, four, five new limits, so not as many as bans, but
Yep.
still a few. So I think the first one we should go over is Bernard the Space Worm going from banned to one. And now that OTK
Yeah.
is gone, I think this is completely fine and actually pretty cool. What are your
Yep.
thoughts on it?
And yeah, I was completely expecting that too because I was like, if we hit that, then Bernard doesn't have to stay on the ban list. Um, the funny part is I've not seen anyone experiment with it yet.
Yeah,
I've kind of theory crafted a couple things, but I haven't landed on anything that was
and with one 4-star activator getting unhalf banned,
with
another
that.
one did get half banned in Shiojin Lava Mole. Now,
Yes.
this one is a lot better than Bernard.
Yeah.
Especially because it's a Shios and Bernard's a no
Yeah.
planet. Which yeah, this card
Yeah.
deserved it. It 100% deserved it.
Oh, for sure, for sure. In a format where there's maybe, let's say, three activator staples like Beast of the Black Hole, Planetary Field, Activation, Activated, Activator.
Hey, look, they're all up on the limited list if you want to look at them. Whoa,
Exactly. And Mole could snipe one of those, and that could be like game
it's
changing.
so good. It's so good.
Yeah,
It effectively acts as extra copies of AAA, except preemptive,
yeah.
and also a fine body with one of the best planets. So it's just like such an insane card.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it hits over a lot of stuff. So it's like always valuable. Um, when I
Yes.
first kind of got introduced to that card and what it does, I thought it would be interesting if it was like only Shia specific. I thought that'd be kind of interesting where like you only get that effect if Shias is your planet.
Huh.
Because at that point in time, like Shias wasn't like super, super strong. Like
I
it
think.
wasn't until Blue Flames came back around or came around
I
that it
think.
got
Oh,
more
did Fish
prominent.
leave? Okay, Fish left. I think the
Yeah,
fact that this was just being played in like most rainbow decks, just
yeah,
like yeah, I think that would have actually been a pretty cool limiter on it, but not when Blue Flames was the best deck. So,
exactly. Exactly.
especially since you
I
can
was
also
really
free
happy
play
with the
this with
lighthouse hit
Rhino,
too.
so that also just like instead of getting your one designated activator hate card in like AAA, you now suddenly have five because of Rhino and Mole, which kind of like
Yeah,
is kind of fucked up. But
yep,
you can still free play with Rhinos, just much less consistent than it was before, and it
yeah,
now makes your
exactly.
your second Rhino a brick.
Yep, yeah.
So
And so
Deep
I thought
Space.
that was a really good hit. I like the Deep Space Lighthouse hit as well.
This hit is secretly genius. I love it so much. It's it's so good. It makes sideboards just so much more interesting, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because it used to just be, all right, if I play a deck that's really popular, I'm just gonna throw two Lighthouse, and at any point I draw it, it was gonna flip the tables every time. Like, and I wasn't quite sure how I felt about that.
Some really funny things I saw. I kind of just want to bring up this play because it was awesome when I saw it. Someone,
Mhm.
I think it was Fish. I can't remember who against they were. They were on Shape Knights, right? They brought in Lighthouse, but they left their planet as Syndian because their opponent was gonna bring in Squarns. So
Yeah,
you run the
yeah,
Lighthouse, yoink their Squarn, and now you have a Squarn of your own. And it's so funny, and it actually happened, and it was amazing, and it's on video somewhere. I'm
yeah,
so glad
yeah.
that
Those interactions are so cool. I've played fish in that type of mirror match before, and it's really skillful, and I kind of like those mirror matches where it's like that, where you have to know the little interactions that can give you an edge. That's really cool.
like I was with I can't remember who, but I was with a few people in VC and we're just like, oh my god, that's so smart. And it was actually amazing. And speaking of Shape Knights, Hexy was also limited.
That one, I'm still processing. I'm kind of indifferent about it. I know why it happened, but when you have that and the Light Beam Rider ban, then it starts to become questionable to me
I think
because
what should have happened was LBR limit and Trong ban. Or even then, like LBR limit Trong ban, and then you can still do another hit if you want.
yeah, exactly, exactly. I think that would have shook it up just a little bit, but you're losing. the one card that kept you competitive against high health, which was Light Beam Rider, because it could basically swing over anything if you have two Sentient, which you pretty much always do with Lionel. And
And
one of
you're
your
losing your
biggest
other card.
damagers, yeah, yeah, one of your damage output cards is gone too. And so now it's like a lot of pressure on Artorias, and you don't have Beast of the Conjurers either.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of questioning where you're getting your damage from, and your
Shape Knights?
consistency has been hit.
Shape Knights feels like instead of a deck now, you're running it as an engine. You run like
Yeah,
Strong, Lionel, two Squarn, one Hexy, maybe an Octo, and then you can just play it as like stalling. If you need to with Lionel, you can just do stuff. The problem is now like Lionel Syndian locks you, which really
yep,
makes the deck awkward because what good Syndian decks are there other than Shape Knights? Utopanons? Like, you have to.
yeah, that's yeah, like tier four, tier four deck. Yeah,
It's worse than Rogue.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So I was like, yeah, because the whole archetype was designed to not be splashable. When we saw how powerful it was as comp players, we was like, okay, this is fine, but you have to play Syndian. Like that was like our speculation
And
or our decision.
Syndian's planet ability, as many people know, is not the best.
Yeah, yeah. It comes up sometimes, but
The funny thing is,
you don't really need it
the
per se.
funny thing is, you don't even actually need to play Syndian as your planet. Um, I remember I was talking to Diamond before they left the server about just like you would play Shios Shape Knights, run Shios as your planet, two Moltown, two Lost Probe, and then just like
Oh, I did that in a tournament, but I didn't have Lost Probe.
yeah,
And so I took the game one, game two concept. Most people were running Cindy in game one, and they would switch to Shias game two, and try to do like Deep Space Lighthouse stuff and Monuments and Creation stuff. And I just like flipped that on its head. I was like, what if I just main deck Shias with the moons and just draw just as much as them? And then game two, when they switch into something else, I switch my planet back to Cindy and play defensive, and it started to work out.
that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Um.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got performed pretty well with that deck.
Last, let's. I think we should move on from Shape Knights now. The last
Oh,
hit
sure, sure.
limit to Logi of the Blue Flame Jar, and I think this limit is self-explanatory. With the we didn't go over this. We should probably do that in a bit. But the hards once per game to soft once per game. Uh,
Yeah.
you gotta limit this card after that.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there. It was almost like the errata didn't really even matter because it was like if you got two copies, like you just want to proc it, and then most times if you have it go off one time, like that was enough to like turn the game in your favor.
Power is so broken that just searching it once is ridiculous, and searching it
Yeah,
twice is format warping.
yeah, exactly. If I could shuffle two of your main cards back into your deck, like that cripples so many decks.
And power is also just like we mentioned this before. You can just leave it on the board, and if they don't have the out, like they're kind of screwed.
Yeah, you just like always have a creature. Um, and in a format where like two creature boards, like whoever could do that the most usually has the winning chances. That was huge. It's like most decks could do it with like, all right, maybe Bone Ladder. Used to be Soul Shroom, but that was like two times. This time, if you keep it up and it doesn't die, you could do that every single turn, and that's crazy.
Yeah, and then you also just get to your guy is super high power. You also just get to shuffle if you really need to. And yeah, the engine is like insane. Tower is in contention for the best Chaos Galaxy card ever printed.
Yeah.
So, I think my main takeaway from this is there should have been another hit to Blue Flames because the deck is dead. Blue Flames as a deck is dead. It's an engine.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Like, you can
But that
still
core
play it in
engine
Shios
works in
mid-range,
everything.
but the deck isn't Blue Flames, it's Shios mid-range now.
Yeah. Yeah, Shias at full power was ridiculous. I've legit won games with just Alaji, Ajakra, and I think Tower was at 2 back then too.
Oh my god. Full power
Yeah,
Shios
if you
and
got that
Shapedikes,
combo up,
I
it was
would
like an
not want to
infinite
play in
loop.
that format.
It was crazy, man.
And
Like if
point
you
turret
didn't,
was
yeah,
legal. And point turret was legal.
yes, exactly.
This is, yeah, I am
Yeah,
glad did not join CG during that time.
whoever got the combo up first pretty much won, like 80%, 90% of the time. Yeah,
Oh my
I'm gonna
god, Trong was at 2-2. Logi was
yeah.
Nirvana. United was holy
Yeah.
fuck.
Oh, United was disgusting as well. And it's like if you didn't play either of those two decks, you didn't have a chance. Like it was rough. It was very rough. Nobody else could really keep them in check. Yeah.
Tier 0,
Um,
except there's two decks, so it's not really a tier 0, but yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
It was like a tier 1.5 or something. Or like tier, yeah, something like that.
Okay. Unbans Peltham and Warpole Jetpack. I think Warpole Jetpack, everyone saw this coming. There was no reason not to do it.
Yeah.
Peltham, I think this is just wrong. Let me pull up.
Mhm.
Let me just go real quick. I'm gonna turn off this stream so I can find the statistic without like.
Yeah. Do you mind I'm gonna mute. I'm just gonna go take care of something real quick. Feel free to keep talking and then I'll jump back in.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry for these stuff, but here I can now. Please, OBS. Okay, so in Discord here in No Mic, this is a program I wrote spits this out using stats from tournaments. This is pre the new format, to be clear, and it kind of just spits out card use rates. The percentages are off, so you can kind of ignore them. But the important thing is this: what number of deck lists are running them? So, Beast of the Black Hole, of course, in every deck. Someone forgot to put G Crash in their deck. People aren't running as many fields or AAAs, which is kind of weird. FSS, slightly lower than them. Then just down there, below the mandatory staples, we have Pelf. And Pelf is only 4 below for sales sign. So I think it is wrong to unlimit this card. The funny thing is, Zamorzed is also right down here below Pelf. So I think, you could have limited Zamor, but I think Zamor is one of those cards where it's a staple that is actually okay at 2 because it's not a tempo swing. It is developing your game, right? Every single card that is a staple that's limited is limited because it's a huge point, tempo, board swing, whatever. You know what I'm talking about, right? Zammer just gives you a zone and is a decent body. It is not a massive, massive tempo swing that you're gonna know you don't want to deal with every game. Like, taking Beast, for example. Like, Beast is limited because it can win games by clearing their board, stopping them from attacking you. It is a ridiculous amount of tempo. Same with G-Crash. You clear their board, you can get in a bunch of damage, sometimes even for games. You clear their big guys. These are important enough for the texture of the format and having good, like, clears and removal that you want them in the format, but you don't want them at 2 because then the format slows to a crawl. So, I think that is why those cards should be at 1. And I think Peltham is a card that's just like, there was no reason to put this to 2 other than shakeups, and you've already adequately shaken it up. So I think there is literally just no reason to shake it up, like, unlimit this card. Uh, Next up is Whirlpool Jetpack. I think this is just like, we're buffing Pally because it it needs it, frankly, to be honest. I think it is a reasonable deck. All the people who are saying, oh, Pally's gonna be tier 0 are just wrong. It's not. It's literally not. I think it's gonna be solid, but I think it is worse than something like G MIDI, which, like, if you look here, I don't see no hits to G MIDI, and that was like a tier 1 to 2 to, like, a tier 2 deck, not a tier 1 deck. Tier 1 was just SKs and BF, but you get what I mean. Like, you had a solid tier 2 deck that got no hits in this, unless I'm missing something. I don't believe it got no hits in this. That deck is gonna be good. It could be tier 1 in this format. And I think just genuinely, Pally is not gonna be a problem, especially as someone who just brought a Pally variant to this tournament. It is not gonna be a problem. So, I think now it is time to. I guess I'll talk about hard to soft ones per game while I'm waiting for Chrono. I may actually have to go soon. Hopefully not. Okay, Chrono, are you back?
Yes, I'm back.
So I just dropped a thing in No Mic that is basically I wrote a thing that took all the tournaments. I took them all and I aggregated them and I found all the decks and I counted what cards were in the decks and I looked at the usage rates. So as you can see, this is, by the way, this is both the format where BF and SKs were at full power and then the previous format we were in.
Oh wow. Okay.
So it's both of those formats. And if you look at it, Beast is 48 out of 48, obviously. You have a few people skimping on, like, G Crash. I think that was actually a mistake, the person who messed up G Crash. A few people not playing Field, even more not playing AAA, which is extremely interesting.
Yeah,
FSS,
I've tried the
understandably.
no AAA before.
FSS, understandably, slightly lower because it's not as mandatory. And then Health is literally just below that at 32 out of 48 decks. I think what I was basically saying is you want these cards at 1 so that you can have these, like, big swings and these big removals to help clear boards, but you don't want them at 2 because then it slows things down a lot and creates these just individual cards that you have multiple of, like power cards that have massive tempo swings, which I don't think you want.
Absolutely. Exactly.
And I think
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
Health, we're seeing it is not that kind of card. I think it is kind of the quiet version, and, like, it's a massive body that, like, gets rid of their card. It gives you massive econ advantage. Well, not it gives you econ advantage because you're basically getting a body out, and then depending
Yeah.
on what you're bouncing, that body is effectively cheaper because they're gonna have to pay those stars again if they want to bring that guy out, and you're also removing a thing
Exactly.
for the turn to push damage. Like, I would not be worried about this card being at 2. I just think it is just why. I don't think it's going to do anything good for the game. So, other than just slow the format down even more, which we don't really need that much, in my opinion. And we can get to that later.
Yeah. I thought that Pelfam at 2 was not as impactful as people thought. Like you said, it does slow the format down, but the a lot of decks cannot use Pelfam as effectively as others.
Yeah.
Um, it's best in the Sindel deck because whenever they attack your creatures, you're getting stars. And so in a Sindel deck, Pelfam feels like a 6-star creature, honestly, um, more so than a 7-star creature. And so you can get it out a lot more effectively. Whereas other decks that struggle to keep their econ advantage, if they like misplay a Pelfam, it could like cost them the game. Like I've played against people who tried to Pelfam me with low econ, and then I did super bouncy trampoline. Pelfam goes back into their hand, and then they're struggling for like 2 turns. Yeah.
I think I said a lot on Peltham, so I don't think we really need to go into that born, but hard to
Yeah.
soft once per game. I think this, it might seem weird, but this is gonna slow the game down because of 2 specific cards being Orbov and Noth that both have abilities that free play them their killed versions of themselves once per game, and you would sometimes use them to stall, though Noth you could use to push damage. But
Yeah.
yeah, Orbov is the big one where you're using it to stall. It's now better at doing that, and I think that is just gonna ever so slightly slow it down more.
Yeah. At least with Knopf, you really only seen it in Gaio's decks.
Yeah, you see it
Like
in
it wasn't
G-Midi.
like you could just throw it in anything. Like Orbov, you'll see it in everything. Like it's crazy.
Um, yeah, I was playing G-Midi, and the Noff change is like super impactful. It made the deck feel better. I think G-Midi is gonna be a tier 1 deck because it was like what, pretty high tier 2 last format,
Yeah,
and then now it's literally gotten a buff. So yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be very good in my opinion.
yeah. I
Okay,
think it
now
needs maybe a couple creatures need to be swapped to make the deck a little bit stronger. But overall, it could pretty much go toe to toe with anything game one and be okay.
yeah, okay. Now do you wanna? I think I'm just gonna bring you to my first point of actually talking about the current format. Whoa, we're 30 minutes in. Oh my god. Um,
Yeah.
which is games are too slow, just like this podcast or whatever we're doing. But I know the goal was to slow the format down, okay? I hear y'all. I know that, oh, CG was in a much slower state. I do not want to play a version of CG any slower than this. This is like my maximum tolerance, and even then, as I'm saying here, it is incredibly slow. 30 to 40 minutes for one game is, how do I put this other than fucking ridiculous and insane? Like, compare this to something like Magic or Hearthstone. If I play a best of one game in Hearthstone, that's anywhere from like 6 to 10 minutes. In Magic, it's also about like 10 minutes, depending on what format you're in. And
Yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh! Obviously, it's like also around that length, maybe even slightly longer, but it's also like 3 turns. So I don't think
yeah.
it's really
Yu-Gi-Oh
a
feels
fair
like
comparison.
Yu-Gi-Oh's like 3 turns max. Both players,
I've
yeah,
had Yu-Gi-Oh games in the TCG where we were both on rogue decks, and so neither everyone had to read everyone's cards, and you know how much text is on Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So the game one literally took 45 minutes
yeah,
the whole time. And then I've had Yu-Gi-Oh sets where I finished them in like 20 minutes. It varies so much. But anyways,
yeah,
CG, it is very consistent in that your sets are going to be at least like 1 hour at a minimum. And they're often longer than that. And I think that's just like too much time for a lot of people. It's just
yeah. I
very
agree.
fatiguing, and also just like sometimes you just don't have an hour of spare time to play. And so you'll often have to actually break down sets into separate times where you play with people. And that also kind of sucks because you're kind of like rusty. You aren't warmed up as much. And
Yeah. The cool thing, I think we kind of figured out both things late into the game, but like last format was super super fast, but all the tournament formats were super long, and now it's the vice versa. Like now we do 1 day tournaments, but all the games are still naturally long, so it still feels drawn out.
yeah,
Um,
I think
Last format, I think we had one day tournament or something like that,
yes, we
and
had
it
a
felt like the
single
perfect
1 day.
balance.
I
Yeah,
I
and it
couldn't
felt like perfect. Yeah,
participate in it because I couldn't guarantee that I would be there for the whole time, and I wasn't. But you know, actually, we had 2 1 days. Sorry, but they were like within a week of like a week apart.
yeah.
But yeah, I think that
Yeah,
brings
but I've
me on.
played a tournament that went on for like a month. I kid you not, and it was kind of a little discouraging.
I
It was
think that
like,
brings on.
yeah,
Okay, sorry. I think tournaments that last like I don't know, but it depends on how many people are in the turn, right? If there's like 20 people in the turn, it makes sense. It would be a long time. But if it's like 8 people, you know,
yeah,
yeah.
and that's what the case was. It was 8 people, but like people would play like one game and then wait a whole another week, and then play the second game and then wait another week, and then you couldn't advance your game until the previous game's finished because you have to play the winner.
Oh my
Um,
god.
Yeah, then if it was like Swiss or round robin or something like that, then you have to play everybody, and so it was like longer. Yeah,
Okay, so I think Chaos Galaxy needs it literally just needs an organized, planned tournament structure. As someone plays again on Magic format that has an organized tournament structure that is played through Discord, like it's all of it is like played and organized through Discord, very similarly to how Chaos Galaxy does it, except it has like its own website and stuff like that. But it is organized into monthly tournaments, the exact same format, same round times. We need even just a tournament schedule. Just telling us when the fuck tournaments are gonna be. Will they be 1 days? How long will they last? We should have something like that. And when I came into CG, I thought it was really weird that we just got like tournaments announced 2 weeks, like a month to 2 weeks before they happen, and then it's just like,
Yeah,
good luck.
yeah, exactly. And that was the hard part too, because like you said, if there's a schedule, you could plan for it. Like you could be like, all right, well, I'll move things around and maybe I won't go to the movies that particular weekend and I'll play CG or something like that. Or,
especially
you could
for
just be more prepared.
especially for stuff like 1 days, like we saw with Aaron Gray's turn. People were not prepared for when it was starting.
Oh, I'm one person. Yeah, I can vouch for that.
Same with
I
me.
got,
I
yeah,
I didn't properly look at the start time and how long it would take because I assumed that I wouldn't have to be there at the start time because I don't know. The
yeah.
start time was
So I
3
made
a.m.
Top
for me,
Cut and
so I
couldn't
think
play my game.
I would have just if I knew the start time, I would have just not participated anyway
Gotcha.
because of just how awkward it is for me.
I think the confusing part for me too was that we normally have tournaments, and like I said, like they'll drag on throughout the day or be pushed into multiple days. And so I figured, like, okay, even if it's an early start time, as long as I play my person within that 24 hours, I'm still good. And that wasn't the case. Like, it was restricted to how long the stream was. And I think Aaron Gay is EU. And so when he
Yes.
was ready to go to bed, like, that was it. Like, your bracket was over. And it was like, if you didn't play your games within that time frame, it was over. And I was like, oh, man, that kind of caught me off guard compared to how we normally do our tournaments.
Yeah. I think the
Yeah.
problem was just communication was unclear, and I think that's something that is pretty easy to fix. So, hopefully, something next time we have something similar to this, it goes a lot better. But
Yeah.
yeah, we should have a
Oh, and
tournament
that kind of
schedule.
goes into what
But yeah,
Fish's announcement is.
yeah,
Maybe we jump into that.
maybe we have a yeah. Let's talk about Fish's announcement. Let me just like pull it up. It was in CG content, right? Let me scroll up.
No, he alluded to a couple different things.
So here,
So I'm kind of like speculating.
I'll just read his announcement here. The game of Chaos Galaxy TCG is in a transitional state. Aaron Gray's Arena 2025 will serve as a quintessential turning point. Where do we go from here? News update dropping March 3rd. So tomorrow for me it's at 3 a.m. For you it's at 6 a.m. I believe. For I don't know when it is for the Aussies and whoever.
It was
Information write
like
up with
late at
over
night, but
2K
yeah,
words, and if you don't want to read, there'll be a video breaking everything down. See you all soon. So that is dropping tonight or tomorrow, depending on how you see it. It's dropping in let me do some math, in 9 hours. So I don't know. Like, are you excited for this? What are your thoughts on it?
yeah, I'm super excited because I think this tournament proved a lot of good things, like pros and cons. Having this tournament brought a lot of paid players. It got people excited. I mean, you put money in, it shows that people are invested in the game. They want to see the game succeed. And there's a lot of people who kind of like maybe you'll play a game or two a week on Fight Club. That was like, oh, I'm gonna prepare a deck for this tournament. So that's really good. I think they might announce like a league or something like that. So when you talked about like the scheduled events and stuff like that, I think they might be going along that route. I don't know if
I hope
everything
so.
will be money, but I think it'll be something a little more structured where you want to get excited about playing. And
I think
maybe there's some incentive.
everything being money might be too much, but I think something
Yeah,
cool, as I mentioned, was like I don't know if this would really work, but as I mentioned, I play that Magic format, which has an organized play structure. And what they do is the winner of the monthly tournaments, yeah, they're monthly, is they get to like choose their own art, put it in like a promo frame they have selected, and that's now just like a card in the format that everyone gets to use. And the frame is super awesome,
yeah.
and it's just like, it's not money, it's not something, but it's just like you've left your mark. It has your name on it. You got to choose the art. It usually looks sick as hell. So, you know what?
Mhm.
I don't know how you could do something like that for CG, but just like being able to leave your mark on the game somehow would be super awesome.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. And I think we're that a
Sorry, you
lot of
cut
people
out there
create
for a
fan
bit.
cards. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
I said, yeah. So I was saying we're in a good position to actually do that because a lot of people are like, we got a whole art channel, right? So people create a bunch of cool cards, and so you got artists combined with competitive players. Like they draw the art, we balance out the cards, we put it in a custom set, and like we're good to go. Like that'd be cool. And
Even
I've even played a lot of
even
custom
just
matches
like
too.
you don't even need to put it in SBR tournaments or whatever. You could just like
Mhm.
have KO cups that run every what or just have some kind of tournament where you just get to like play with custom sets that could include like those cards that you got to make, and that's just cool.
Yeah.
People like playing with
Oh
cards
yeah,
they made.
absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah, for sure. Like I've
I
given
I kind of gotta go
Nezo so
now.
many suggestions on cool cards and sweet.
Okay, so sorry, I have to go now. Do you have like any final thoughts? I can maybe come back in like
Oh,
30 minutes if
yeah.
you really want to continue and still have time.
Oh no, it's all good. It's up to you. For inviting me to if you want it. Check my YouTube out, ChronoKnight on YouTube. If you look up Chaos Galaxy, you can see my channel. I'm excited for the format. I'm excited for the future of CG. I think people are still invested in making it a fun game. And it's been one of the better card games that I've come across. And I want to see it succeed.
Okay. Yeah, Chaos Galaxy. It has probably the best rule set of any card game I've ever played, but in practice, I mean, we'll find out what happens with Fish's announcement. And bye, everyone.